Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports. Today I'm going to share with you part 2 of my bat collection, and these are going to be the autographed bats in my collection. And if you didn't catch the first episode, it'll be right up here in this corner. You can click on it here or click down in the description or at the end of this video. You can definitely check out the store model vintage bats that I showed off in that collection. But this collection is a lot smaller. I collect signed bats every now and then. I don't necessarily go out of my way to get a bat signed, and that's strictly for storage purposes. However, every now and then I throw a team bat together, or if I see a deal I just can't refuse, I'll purchase a signed bat as well. So I'm going to share with you some of these. I'm going to probably start with my team signed bats first, and then we'll move on to single player signed bats, along with a pretty impressive Legends bat that I picked up really cheap years ago. So we're just going to jump right into this, and I'm going to have to edit the video like I did the last one, so I apologize about the segments that are going to be cut and edited a little bit. So we're just going to jump right into this. Alright, this first bat is actually, you can see the logo on the end, is a Indianapolis Indians team signed bat. And I got this bat signed in person, and what I do with my bat tubes, I print out a little sheet with everybody that signed it. And you can see in 2008 that I got Andrew McCutchen to sign it, along with future Major Leaguer Neil Walker, along with a couple guys that did make some, minor waves in the majors. I mean, Craig Wilson, Raul Chavez, but Luis Ordaz, that's another one. But also Steve Pearce is on this bat as well. And I'll kind of show off a couple of autographs. I believe that is Steve Pearce right there, if I'm not mistaken. And that is Andrew McCutchen. So, as you can see, a very nice team-signed giveaway bat. I got number 1 draft pick overall Brian Burlington to sign it too at the time, which I thought that was something, but it really wasn't, to be honest with you. In addition to that bat, I almost wish I would have got this signed. I actually have an unsigned copy of that bat as well. So I kind of wish I would have just got Andrew McCutchen to sign that and maybe had a single signed McCutchen bat, but McCutchen signed my team bat, but he also signed a bunch of cards for me, so I guess I didn't want to seem too greedy asking him to sign 2 bats, but now looking back at that, I kind of wish I would have just got this bat signed by somebody, because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this bat unless I ever get to a game in Indianapolis again, but unfortunately they don't use that logo anymore, so it's quite a dated bat, but whatever, pretty cool. Now, these next 2 I'm going to show you are kind of 2 that are pride to my collection. These were obtained in person. I used to be a season ticket holder with the Peoria Chiefs, and I, went to games when I was younger. This is when I was in college. And these are 2 signed 2002 Peoria Chiefs bats with the most important name on that bat. Actually, on both bats, I should say. Right there. Molina. Yadier Molina on that one. And Yadier Molina on this one. And there's a couple other guys that, again, made some minor splashes in the majors. Chris Duncan signed it. Let's see, who else? Tyler Johnson, who was on the World Series team. Carmen Cali, who was a major leaguer for a brief period. I believe Chris Narveson was up for a little while. But I got both of these bats signed, along with a whole lot of other stuff by that year's team. And let me just try to find the Molina autograph, which I believe is that one right there. And there, on this bat, sorry about the glare there, is the Yadier Molina. And you can see that's a nice full-size signature. He doesn't sign like that anymore. But that's the Molina on that bat. And if I recall, this one, he signed it in a real bad spot. The top one here. Yeah. And there is the Molina on that bat. As you can see, he signed it through the bat mark. But that is a Yadier Molina autograph on this bat. So the first bat was better. My guess is I probably got that bottom bat signed earlier in the year. And I got the other bat signed on top here probably later in the year when he was tired of signing autographs by that point. So very cool. Now this bottom bat I don't have a label for, but I'll kind of show it off. I didn't put it in a bat tube yet, but I probably will one day if I ever get another bat tube. And this is a 2012 Springfield Cardinals signed bat. This was the first year that I moved to the Springfield, Missouri area, and I got this bat signed in person. This is not a Springfield Cardinals bat. I brought this bat with me. You know, I picked this up at a minor league park for $10 or something like that. But the most notable signature is Oscar Taveras right there on the barrel. You know, at the time, you know, this was a major autograph to obtain. You know, it's just a shame what happened to Oscar, that we lost him so early in his career. But on the other side of that bat is a Carlos Martinez autograph. The two of them were actually roommates when they played here. A couple other notable names on the bat. There's a Greg Garcia, who's a Padre currently. I know Colton Wong signed this too somewhere, if I can find it. Yep, there's Colton Wong right there on the bat. There's Michael Wacha, who signed the bat. And Trevor Rosenthal signed the bat. So those are the main guys that signed this bat. Now, ironically, I actually had somebody sign this bat in 2020. Before the baseball season got canceled for college baseball, this is a former Springfield Cardinal in 2012 that is now coaching the University of Maine, Nick Durba. So he was just ecstatic to see somebody pull a bat out from his playing days. So there you go. Moving on to the next group. All right, so the next group that I have here is I have a 2008 Burlington Bees Midwest League team signed bat. And this bat was signed by up-and-coming #1 draft pick Mike Moustakas. That was the big name on that team. And there was a couple other guys. Clint Robinson was on that team. He made his major league debut. But I want to say David Lowe, maybe. But overall, this bat, other than having Mike Moustakas on it, there's just not a whole lot on there. None of these guys really made it to the major leagues, and you know, if they did, they weren't really too impactful. So, unfortunately, this is probably the most beautiful bat in my entire collection. I mean, this is just immaculate. The signatures just really pop on it. You know, the silver Sharpie turned out really nice. You know, with most autographs, there's one that doesn't look the best. But let me find the Moustakas on here. Ah, there it is, right on the barrel. If you can see, there's Mike Moustakas' autograph. And it just really pops. It's just, you know, a really nice signature on this team bat. Unfortunately, there's just not anybody else really on that team. And, you know, I look back at this, and I think at the time, I thought this was a good idea to get this signed. But I kind of wish I would have saved it for a different team, this bat that is, because like I said, other than Mike Moustakas, that bat's just not really too impressive of a team signed bat. Now, moving on to the bottom one, as you can see, I don't even have this one in a tube. That's because this one just doesn't have anybody really that good on it. But this one is more of a sentimental value of a bat because this is my very first, and for whatever reason the list is upside down. this is my very first team-signed minor league bat. And it is the 1999 Clinton Lumber Kings. And Jose Acevedo and Brandon Puffer, I want to say, are the only two that made it to the major leagues that were on that team. Brandon Puffer had some legal problems. However, he was part of the Boston Red Sox championship team, I want to say in 2004. Don't quote me on that. But he was a World Series champ, but he had some legal problems outside of baseball. So that's really the only big people that signed this. But just to tell a really quick story, this is sentimental in the fact that this was when my wife and I first started dating. And this is like one of the very first minor league games that my wife and I went to together while we were dating, and we autographed together. And so that's why this bat holds a special place in my heart. I really didn't spend much. I remember I bought it in the team store for like $5 because I think there's a crack in it or something. But, you know, that's just not a valuable bat to anyone outside of me. It's just not really that important of a bat, you know, other than the sentimental value. So I'm going to show you my last team sign bat, and that's a very loosely term team sign bat. And I was in an antique mall once, and I found this Pro Stock Louisville Slugger signed by none other than Matt Williams and Travis Lee. So what I did with this bat, and I apologize about the lighting there, is I made this bat a Arizona Diamondbacks World Series Championship bat, and I got Rod Barajas to sign the bat as well. So this one only has 3 signatures on it. Where I live in Missouri, I don't see too many Arizona Diamondbacks, but randomly I found this Matt Williams, Travis Lee dual sign bat in the antique mall for like $12. And I thought, well, for $12, I'll take it. So that's my last autographed team bat. And below that, this just randomly is a former #1 pick, Nick Franklin of the Seattle Mariners and Tampa Bay Rays. Again, at the time, I thought it was a good idea to get Nick to sign this. However, his career really didn't pan out all that well in the major leagues, and so here I am with a random Nick Franklin bat. And in that same breath, I'll show this as well. I also picked this up at a Clinton Lumber Kings game. This is when I was still living up there. This is an actual broken bat from a game signed by Scott Savastano, and the bat, as you can see, actually you can't, is actually charred in half. Like, that actually was broken during a game, and he was walking off the field, and if you've ever been to Clinton, the players walk past the fans to get to their clubhouse, and Scott was walking off the field, and he was carrying this bat. I said, Scott, you going to do anything with that bat? And he's like, I'm going to throw it out. You want it? And I said, sure, I'll take it. You signed the barrel for me? And he's like, yeah. So Scott Savastano, he never really... maybe he got to the majors. If he did, it was for a short period of time. And, you know, I keep it in this bag because it's in 2 parts, but, you know, kind of goes along the lines of that Nick Franklin bat that it's really not worth a lot. So I'm going to move on to some bigger autographed bats in my collection. Just stay put. All right, so these next 2, one is a bat that I picked up randomly, and it is my favorite player of all time, Will Clark. Model bat, and it's actually signed by Will right there. And I picked this up really cheap, $25, somewhere in that neighborhood if I recall. And being that it was my favorite player of all time, I had to have it. You know, there was I probably would have paid more than $25 for it, is what I'm saying. Moving on, you've seen this one in one of my videos as well, and this is actually game used, or at least batting practice used, Steve Finley autograph bat. And I picked this up at an auction for like under $20. I mean, it was so amazing that I was able to get this game used signed bat for like less than $20. It was that good of a deal, and I might link that at the end of this video if you want to check that auction out, because I walked away with quite a few good autographs for only $100, and this Steve Finley bat was definitely a great buy in that day. So I'm going to move on to my last 3 bats that are autographed, and I think you're really going to like these last 3. So just stay with me. Alright, so finally, here we are to the pinnacle of my collection, at least when it comes to signed bats. These are 2 bats that are very sentimental to me. At the time, the top 2, I'm going to show you who they are. Mr. Cub himself, Ernie Banks. One's in a tube and one is not. I actually have another tube off screen here, but I thought I'd pull one out to show it to you and show you the one in the tube. But these Ernie Banks, again, are sentimental to me because at the time I was working in Central Illinois and I was just unavailable to go to an event that Ernie Banks was going to be signing at. Well, my wonderful wife, the girlfriend that I mentioned earlier with the Clinton Lumber Kings game, we were married by this point, and she went to an event and got these 2 bats signed for me. Now, I'm going to share the other items in a different video that I got signed at this event, but the deal was if you bought an item, Mr. Banks would sign 1 additional item for you. So I bought 3 of these items. I want to say they cost roughly around $50 a piece, but with that $50 purchase, Mr. Banks signed that item as well as an additional item. So I spent $150 or $130, whatever it came out to, I don't remember, and walked away with 6 Ernie Banks autographs that day. Well, I should say my wife actually got me 6 Ernie Banks autographs. So being that these autographs were free with the purchase, I went top shelf and I went out of my way to find these rolling big sticks, store model bats. I just went to my Walmart at the time, or Meijer, or whatever the heck I went to, I don't even remember, and I paid like, $20 a bat or $15 a bat, something like that. And my wife went and got this signed. So these are forever 2 of my most favorite autographed items in my collection, not to mention the best 2 autographed single signed bats that I own. Very awesome. My wife got them signed for me, and unfortunately those were the days before camera phones were really relevant. Otherwise I probably would have had her snap a couple pictures of him signing them while she was there. Now we're going to move on. This next bat I actually purchased, and this was an eBay deal that I just could not pass up, and I got this in a ball cube or bat cube, whatever you want to call it. And this is a Cox Communications Dream Game 1997. National League versus American League. And I guess this is the American League version of the bat. And it just looks like somebody went and bought a store model bat and, put this little plaque on there basically. They bolted it on there or whatever they did. And this bat actually was signed at, I guess, a Legends game, that was sponsored by Cox Communications. So I'm just going to kind of show you some of the names on this bat. I think I made out everybody's signature but one on this bat, and I'll show you which one that is, and that's that one right there. So I'm just going to kind of go through these, and I'll try to name off, who I recognize here. Tommy Henrich, that's Louis Tiant, that's Frank Robinson, that's Joe Rudy, that's Sparky Lyle, Blue Moon Odom. Not really sure who that one is. That's back to the mystery. Oh, Manny Sanguian. I want to say Steve Kemp on that one. I just almost knocked all these over. Jim Essien, Goose Gossage, Bob Feller, Bert Campaneris, Frank Howard, and I think that's it. Let's see if I missed one here. I do have a list that I made out many years ago. Leon Wagner. There we go. Yeah, Leon Wagner's on there. Rico Cardi. That's who that is. That's who that is, I think. I think that's Rico Cardi. Possibly. So anyways, I picked this up for like 30, 40 bucks, this bat. I mean, it was just an unbelievable deal with these Hall of Famers on there, and I just couldn't pass it up. So I want to thank you guys for joining me for part 2, my autographed bats. I got to really share with you. This was kind of like more like a diary of going through my life of autograph collecting, you know, going back to when I was, you know, a college age kid, 18, 19 years old, going to the Clinton Lumber Kings games, you know, all the way throughout my life, you know, through adulthood. And, you know, I'm very proud of these autographs. So thanks for taking the time to watch. I appreciate it. And as always, look forward to your comments below, and happy collecting.